It's time for Voice of Indie. Your hosts today are Beem Weeks, author, producer, and marketing monster for independent multimedia publisher Fresh Ink Group, and Stephen Gies, author, producer, composer, and publisher for Fresh Ink Group.
Greetings, everybody, and welcome to May. It's May Day, May 1st, and we are headlong into spring. Welcome to another episode of the Voice of Indie podcast. This is episode number 196. I am your host, Mr. Beem Weeks, and with me is the ice cream man, Mr. Stephen Gies. How you doing, Gies?
I'm doing great. You mentioned springtime. It's been beautiful here in North Alabama. I got up early this morning. Didn't need to, but I did. It was in the low 70s with a light sunshine and mist all across the lake. And I went out and sat on the deck and just sat there looking at the lake. And, I was watching bald eagles hunting and herons hunting. And we have wood ducks nesting in the boxes. And it's just all kinds of stuff. I activated Merlin on my phone, which identifies bird songs. Set it on the table there for 1 hour and got 54 species of birds.
Wow.
54, including 5 different species of woodpeckers. And that's just seriously cool. So I just sat out there and enjoyed the springtime this morning. How is it up in Michigan?
We had a beautiful, gorgeous spring day, 76 degrees, sunshine, clear blue skies. Even went up to the ice cream parlor just before showtime and had a fruit smoothie. It's just beautiful, beautiful. We've had some, somewhat nice days, but it's been rainy a lot the last week or so, last couple of weeks. So it was nice just to have the warm weather and the sunshine, and like I said, headlong into spring, and I couldn't come quick enough.
Speaking of nice and sunshiny and pleasant, Nazi Germany. We've got a new book out. It's a novel, the first book in the series Nurses of the Krieg, and it's by Anna Morgan. It's called The Nurses, and this is set during World War II, Nazi Germany, and it's the story about 2 teenage girls who want to just grow up and be nurses, and they get caught up in being nurses for the war effort in Nazi Germany. It's an intense book. It's a long, complex read with great characters, and it's, like I say, by Anna Morgan, The Nurses of the Krieg, Book 1, and it is now out from Fresh Ink Group, out there populating and propagating right now. You should be able to get over and order a copy.
All right, and we also have the Cheryl Carpinello audiobook is finally out. It is out. It is available. You can go to Amazon and you can order it right now, and you can listen to it this evening, after the show, of course. The King's Ransom, Tales and Legends, The Young Knights of the Round Table. It's been narrated by Ethan Drew. He's an actor from Hollywood. He's been in movies. He was in Camp Hideaway with Christopher Lloyd, and he's got other projects going right now, and he's a stellar performer, and we put some sound effects and all that cool stuff in there. Now, I had a commercial, an audio commercial for this audio book that we were going to play tonight, but here's the problem. When I went to go and add the new commercials for the show tonight, the Blog Talk Radio page where I go to upload the commercials, it's a 404 page. Something's wrong with it, so I couldn't get in there. And then they finally let me in, and I started removing last week's commercials. Then it shut me out again. So we've got 3 commercials that we're going to play tonight, and we may play them twice if need be. But so if you wonder why it's being played that way, that's why. But Cheryl Carpinello's audiobook, it's a fantastic listen. So get over there and grab a copy of The King's Ransom, Tales and Legends, Young Knights of the Round Table right now.
Yeah, pox on the souls of the Blog Talk Radio people.
Yeah, getting fed up with it.
One of the commercials that we do have loaded from last week that we will be able to play tonight is for Jan Sykes' new book, A Beggar's Bargain. Book 1 of the Bargainer series, which has been out for about 3 weeks now, and it's been performing very, very well. And what's cool about this is it's a novel, but the hardcover edition, which is priced significantly higher because it's a nice hardcover with a dust jacket, is actually selling as well as the paperback, and in some cases exceeding paperback sales. So we really like seeing those hardcovers move, and that means people are serious about a book. They're willing to spend a few extra dollars. They want to have a nice copy to put on the shelf and keep around. So That's A Beggar's Bargain by Jan Sykes, book 1 of the Bargainer series. It's out now. Get out there and check it out. And if you're not already a subscriber, go to Jan Sykes' website and sign up for her newsletter. She's got a good newsletter.
Yeah. All right. We also want to do a shout-out to a Kickstarter campaign that is in its final week. Signa is the first-ever original graphic novel from brand-new publisher Pug W. I'm not sure what that stands for, but it's Pug-W, Pug W, the brainchild of former Marvel Comics publisher John Nee and former IDW editor-in-chief John Barber. Written by Barber himself and Andrew Lee Griffith, this project seems like an incredible way to launch a new press. Now, if you want to find the link and you want to contribute to the Kickstarter project or just go over there and see what they're all about, just find the link, go to my Twitter account, that's at Beem Weeks, and it's the pinned tweet. So just go to @BeamWeeks on X, Twitter, and see the top pinned tweet, and you can click on that, and it'll take you to the page, and you can find out all about that.
All right, we've got another new book out. This one came out a couple of weeks ago. It's called A Light in the Darkness, and it's by Tina Reist. And that's somebody that Beem knows from his church. She's a special needs adult who's an independent adult, and she decided to write a book about gratitude and friendship and, their little poems and essays and things, shouting out to the people who've made a difference in her life. It's a beautiful, heartfelt piece of work, and we're very proud of it, and we're sure Tina's proud of it. That's called A Light in the Darkness by Tina Reist, R-E-I-S-T, and that is out now. Get out there and get your copy and help support Tina.
Yeah, if she was capable of doing a backflip, she'd have been doing a whole bunch of them. She's that excited.
Yeah.
All right, Jerry Pate, he is the author of Submariner, and he's got a little story here that he shared with us, so I'm going to share it here. He says, I received a phone call from a lady who asked if she could bring her 94-year-old Navy veteran father to meet me and have me sign his book. He lives on Merritt Island. I told her, yeah, sure, come on by. I would be honored to sign his book. They plan to drop by a little after 1 p.m. So look at that. Jerry Pate has fans coming to call. So, hey, speaking of calling, if you want to be part of tonight's show, if you got a question or a comment, see how I segued into that? Here's how you can be part of tonight's episode of the Voice of Indie podcast.
Call 516-453-9902 right now with your questions or comments for tonight's guest. Or post a note on Twitter with #FreshInkGroup in the body of the tweet, and we'll read it on air. That's 516-453-9902 or #FreshInkGroup on Twitter.
Be there. All right. Those of you who are regular denizens of this show are familiar with Robert G. Williscroft. He's one of our favorite writers here at Fresh Ink Group. He puts out a series of science fiction novels called The Ort Chronicles, a series of submarine Cold War thrillers called the Mac McDowell series, and he's got several other kinds of books as well. He's really been burning it up lately. He's out there tirelessly promoting. He makes appearances at various events. He stages events. Show is not loading. Speaking of Williscroft, I just got an email from him saying show is not loading. I hope other people are able to get in here and hear us. We'll have to emphasize the archives again. But at any rate, he's out there tirelessly promoting, and the Mac McDowell series, the 4 books in his Submarine Cold War thriller series, this past week, the first book, Ivy Bells, Operation Ivy Bells, ranked 1,670 on Amazon. That's top 2,000. That's excellent for a book that's been out for like 5 years now. Second book, Icebreaker, ranked 1,392 in military thrillers. These are big categories. Third book, Operation Arctic Sting, 1,976 in war and military action fiction. And then the fourth one, Operation Whiteout, is ranked 1,397. So all 4 books in that series, which spans the last 5 years or so, are all ranked in the top 2,000. Now I'm looking at a couple of books from his Ort Chronicles science fiction series. The last 2 books, which we both of them we've put out in 2024. There is Ran, and that is ranking at 974 in hard science fiction, and Keed is ranking 976 in hard science fiction. So Rand is two notches above Keed. But both of those, top 1,000 for books that have been out for 3 or 4 months now. So congratulations, Robert Willis Croft. You were out there tearing it up.
All right. Yeah. Well, we do have a caller on the line, which we'll get to when we bring the guest in. But so we'll find out if people can actually hear it. I'm guessing that he may have a problem with it loading because the time clock here was off by, I don't know, 40 seconds or something like that. So I don't know if that has any problem with it. But another book we've got coming out, Mr. President, I've Got Your Back, the First Ladies of South Carolina State University. That's coming soon. And this is by Abigail H. Hugheny and Mary L. Smalls. And both of those ladies will be guests on this podcast together here coming up soon. So keep your eyes and ears open for that. And if you want to know about this show, who's going to be on here from week to week, and you want a quick link that you can get to the show, and also if you want to know what books are coming out and so on and so forth, we've got a newsletter here. You can subscribe to it.
Stay on top of these podcasts and all things Fresh Ink Group with our weekly digital newsletter, new releases, videos, stories, excerpts, interviews, and more. Sign up now on the homepage of freshinkgroup.com and be the one who knows what's what.
What? All right,
let's take a look at the top 25 print bestsellers, Fresh Ink Group releases. Again, these are not the ebook editions. Kindle, Nook, Kobo, all the various ebook formats that we put our books out in are in these numbers. I'm just looking at print right now, hardcovers and soft covers. All right, and Beam saying we got a couple of callers, so let's race through this list. Since we don't have so many commercials this week, you're going to have to listen to us talk more. Let's start at the bottom here at number 25, and it's Robert Mackenzie's The Chair, Volume 4, Hunt, Pass, and Kick. That's the fourth book in the Chair series. We are working on the fifth book right now to have out by the end of the summer. Those books have been performing very well. Congratulations, Robert. Next up, David Carroll, I Won't Be Your Scapegoat. David Carroll's Homemade Social Media Blunders. David Carroll's the NBC Evening Newscaster out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and he's put together quite a collection of fun bloopers and blunders out of social media, road signs, business signs, things like that. That's a fun book. Now, Nell Cooper. We're getting ready to put out a novel by Nell Cooper here pretty soon, and that one is, what's on our list now is Princess Lil. This is her chapter book for children that we published, 15 years ago? Something like that.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Because Nell Cooper was one of our first authors to join Fresh Ink Group when we were just starting to make noise about being more than just us and our friends and bring in some more people as well. So Princess Lil, it's a book about bullying as told from the point of view of a pony. How to Paint an American, what's that thing about?
How to Paint an American. That's an Eastern European man who comes to America, and he wants to find out what it means to be an American. So he travels across the sea. He comes to America. He's in Boston. He's in New York. He's in, I think, St. Louis or somewhere in Missouri. He's down in Georgia. He meets some shady characters, and he meets some good characters, and overall he comes to understand what it means to be an American, and he wants to be an American too. So that's
How
a
to
good
Paint
book.
an American. Andrew McGregor, and it's a novel making our list as the hardcover edition. The hardcover edition is out there selling a ton of books. Above that, we've got retired U.S. Navy Lieutenant Commander Jerry Pate's Submariner, 30 Years of Hijinks and Keeping the Fleet Afloat. And Beam, this is the hardcover edition. People are spending the money to get that collector's item. This is 60 chapters of memoir about life in the Navy, life on a submarine, and a whole bunch of other cool stories as well. Submariner, 30 Years of Hijinks, Keeping the Fleet Afloat. Now, Robert G. Willis Croft, his paperback edition of Operation Whiteout. That's the fourth of the Mac McDowell mission books that we talked about earlier, which are out there moving like crazy. Robert Mackenzie again. This is The Chair, Volume 1. Lightning, Thunder, and Glory, the first novel in the series, of which we've got 4 out now. We're working on number 5, and guess what, Bean? It's the hardcover that's out there selling as a novel. Larry Landgraf, The Adventures of Ali Orangutan. That's a illustrated chapter book for children about an orangutan who gets captured. He's being shipped to a zoo, and he and his friends escape, and hijinks ensue. That's by Larry Landgraf. Dr. Helen Burrell, American Agony, the Opioid War Against Patients in Pain. That's hard look at the politics and policy of what's going on with enforcement of opioids, addiction, and prescriptions and whatnot. Check that out. That's been doing very well for well over a year now. Robert G. Williscroft is next on the list. The Star Child Compact, a novel of interplanetary exploration. That's book 3 of the Star Child saga. So far, we have 3 of those 4 books out. We're working on book 4 right now, but if you're familiar with Robert's science fiction, you're definitely going to enjoy the Star Compact. Now, the next 2 books are the same book. It's Dave Hooker's Celebrate 98, The Untold Stories Behind the Tennessee Football Vols' 1998 National Championship. This is college football, people, and we're not even in football season, but it's out there tearing this thing up. A paperback edition is next on the list, and above that, outselling that, is the hardcover edition. Again, people want those collector's items. How to Teach Driving, Behind the Wheel, Lesson by Lesson, Instructor's Edition by Kenneth Lindquist. He's also got a Parents Edition. So if you got teenagers or young adults who are learning to drive, check these books out by Kenneth Lindquist. Now, we wouldn't have a top 25 list without a food truck book, so let's go to A.K. Wingler's How to Start and Run Your Own Food Truck Business in Georgia. That just keeps bouncing around. Last week it was Florida. The week before that it was Tennessee. But these books are performing well. If you're interested in starting a food truck business, check them out by A.K. Wingler. Jordan, Still Not Enough, Minority Millennials in the Workforce. This has moved up into the top 10 now. So she must be out there doing some more promoting, and it's the hardcover edition of Janelle Jordan's look at Minority Millennials in the Workforce. Speaking of hardcovers, Operation Ivy Bells, a Mac McDowell mission by Robert G. Williscroft, hardcover. Hardcover of the novel is in our top 10. Above that, the hardcover of Daddy Yo-Yo and the Legendary Marble Tournament. That's an illustrated chapter book about bullying for children, and that's by Dr. Janice D. Toney. Now, we're back to Operation Ivy Bells again, a Mac McDowell mission paperback edition. And that brings us to our top 7. In the number 7 slot, B.A. Johnson's Sassy Discovers the AME Church, paperback edition. That's an illustrated chapter book for kids about a little girl who's learning about the AME Church. We're back to David Carroll's I Won't Be Your Scapegoat. David Carroll's Social Media Blunders, paperback edition, is coming in the number 6 slot. Number 5, Icicle, a Tensor Matrix, the first Ort Chronicle by Robert G. Williscroft. That's the first of those 4 Ort Chronicle books in his science fiction series. And get this, it's the hardcover edition at number 5, hardcover of a novel. Top 4, paperback edition of The High Road, Memories from a Long Trip by Country Music Hall of Fame drummer Mark Herndon. He played with the supergroup Alabama for almost 3 decades. And now he's telling the stories. What a fascinating book. Brings us to our top 3, Beam. Number 3, Jan Sykes, A Beggar's Bargain. Her novel, which is the first in the Bargainer series, is our number 3 print bestseller this week. And you know what? It's the hardcover edition up here at number 3. The hardcover edition is way out the paperback edition. So, congratulations, Jan. People like your books so much they're willing to spend a few extra bucks to get that nice copy. A Beggar's Bargain. Top 2, A Light in the Darkness, Words and Poems of Encouragement by Tina Reist. Congratulations, Tina. Your paperback book is out there in our number 2 slot. That brings us to number 1. This is a hardcover because people are serious fans who want to have that nice collector's edition, and it's The High Road, Memories from a Long Trip by Country Music Hall of Fame drummer Mark Herndon. And I do want to say that Mark's very accessible. If you're a fan of his, if you're a fan of Alabama, you're a fan of country music, you're just a fan, and you want to get your copy autographed, you can go to markherndon.com and order books directly from Mark and his country music star wife, Leah Seawright. And they will not only have Mark autograph it for you, but he will inscribe it too. So they make great gifts. Congratulations. That's our top 25 print bestsellers.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So a little update here. Berwain is on hold, and he said on Twitter that he's on hold so he can listen, which means, and I tried to pull this up on my phone, and it's not loading, so we're going to keep doing this because it's going to record anyway, and we'll have this in the archive. This one will go tonight shortly after the show, but it's unfortunate that we don't have a live audience right now. But we will we'll make the best of this. We've got some callers lined up, and we'll bring them in, and they can put in their 2 cents, and maybe they have a question or comment or whatever. But also want to point out, soon coming, Through the Lens, a creative guide to wildlife photography by Angie Birmingham. Angie is an incredible photographer. If you saw last week's newsletter, you saw some samples of her work. You know, what an amazing way that she captures this wildlife, these birds in their glorious color, but in their movement, and you can almost feel the movement there, like you're there in front of that bird. So keep your eyes and ears open for that. Check out the newsletter. Find out when this is coming out. Pandemonium in Puzzle Town. This is by B.A. Johnson, and this is a book about prejudice and discrimination. It's an illustrated chapter book by B.A. Johnson, and it's coming soon. Nowhere to Go But Tomorrow. This is by Nell Cooper, as Stephen just talked about her with her Princess Lil book. This will be coming out soon. This is a novel, and I did the editing on it, and it was a fantastic read. Nell Cooper is an incredible storyteller. She's got a talent for that, and that'll be coming soon. So keep your eyes and ears open. And since we're going to be pushing this one heavily in the archive, here's how you can find our archive, because we're all over the place.
Find your favorite show in the Voice of Indie archives on YouTube at Fresh Ink Group, StephenG's.com, BeamWeeks.com, FreshInkGroup.com, and on Spotify. And now you can listen on iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and tune in. Just search The Voice of Indie, all one word.
A shocking proposal that changes everything. Desperate to honor his father's dying wish, Laken Martin vows to do whatever it takes to save the family farm. Once the Army discharges him following World War II, Laken returns to Missouri to find his legacy in shambles and in jeopardy. A foreclosure notice from the bank doubles the threat. He appeals to the local banker for more time, a chance to rebuild, plant, and harvest crops, and time to heal far away from the noise of bombs and gunfire. But the banker firmly denies his request. Now what? Then the banker makes an alternative proposition. Marry his unwanted daughter, Sarah Beth, in exchange for a 2-year extension. Out of options, money, and time, Laken agrees to the bargain. Now he has 2 years to make a living off the land while he shares his life with a stranger. Read A Beggar's Bargain, Book 1 in the Bargainer series by best-selling author Jan Sykes. Available worldwide from multimedia publisher Fresh Ink Group in jacketed hardcover, softcover, and all ebook formats. A Beggar's Bargain by Jan Sykes.
All right.
So let's meet this week's guest. This is one of our favorite writers, somebody that we've really gotten to know a lot better lately. We've been looking forward to having her. Sue Coletta is an award-winning crime writer and an active member of Mystery Writers of America, Sisters in Crime, and International Thriller Writers. Her books include psychological thrillers and true crime narrative nonfiction. Now she exclusively writes action-packed echo thrillers imbued with native spirituality, culture, and a beautiful connection to Mother Earth. Sue's appeared on the true crime series Storm of Suspicious and 3 episodes of A Time to Kill on Investigation Discovery. She lives with her husband and fur babies. She lives with her husband and fur babies in the Lakes region of New Hampshire. When she's not writing, she often spends time with her murder of crows, who live free but come when called by name. The natural world in general feeds her soul. Welcome to the show, Sue.
Welcome, Sue.
Hi, nice to be here.
All right. So first of all, let me apologize for this this letdown with Blog Talk Radio, but at least we're able to talk, and this is going to still be in the archive and all that. But our apologies. We're probably running the course with Blog Talk Radio here after 3 years.
Hey, the archive gets a lot more listens than the live show anyway, so there'll be a lot of traction.
Yeah.
That's totally fine.
To kick it off, we know you're living in New Hampshire right now.
Yeah.
Where are you originally from, and where all else have you lived? And if you're not a native to New Hampshire, what brought you to New Hampshire?
I grew up in Massachusetts. And what brought me to New Hampshire was the lack of people, to be honest. Nature and the lack of people. I people out quick. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Yeah. I never tire of animals or nature, though. So we moved to New Hampshire in 2012, and I've never been happier. It's so peaceful here.
So you went from Massachusetts, where you were dropping your R's, parking the car at Harvard, to dropping your G's
exactly.
in New Hampshire.
Yeah, we're still dropping that. Still dropping the R's and the G's, yeah.
I know.
So are you living in a rural area? What's it like around where you live there?
It's all woods. We live on the foot of a mountain.
Wow. And
I'll tell you, when we first moved here, it was eerily silent. You know when that stillness, I don't know. You probably know, Stephen, the way you described your lake, which sounded absolutely gorgeous. But it was so quiet and so dark because there's no street lights that it kind of freaked us out at first, but we grew to love it. So very rural, nothing but farms and woods and, acres in between people. Really nice.
I bet you get a ton of birds.
Oh, yeah. I have, I got my crows, and I trained Poe, who is the alpha of the murder, to come.
Poe, P-O-E?
Yeah.
Of course.
To come when I called. So every morning I'd go out and I'd call Poe into the sky, and little by little, they began to come because they recognized my voice, they recognized my call, and I've been doing it so many years that no matter where I am, if I'm in their territory, they come.
Wow.
Just by me. Yeah. They even follow me, like when I go for a walk. They'll fly to like a tree, say 10 yards down the road, wait till I catch up, and then they'll fly ahead again. Wait, they're incredible watchdogs, just incredible.
Wow, and smart, and they use tools. And I was just reading an article about somebody who had more or less kind of semi-domesticated a murder of crows that was living around her house, and she said they got to where the crows would bring her gifts, like a little shiny marble or things like that, and leave them for her. That's pretty cool.
Poe brought me a chewed pencil once, which I found hilarious.
Wow.
To say, like, I know you're a writer, so
yeah.
It's
and
like
they're very proud when they bring, like, a hawk feather. Like, look who I just beat. Here's the feather to prove it.
That's like the cat bringing you the dead mouse, and just so proud of that mouse.
Exactly. Yeah, right. And my Blue Jays are my, I call them my cheering section. The second I step onto the deck, the yard just erupts with Blue Jay song because they're just so excited because they know they're going to get fed. It's hilarious, and they're diving from tree to tree to tree, and it's a blast.
Wow, you might want to check out that app I was talking about earlier called Merlin. You just download that thing, and I mean, you just turn it on, and it identifies all the birds that it's hearing, shows you pictures of them, records them, shows you what their calls sound like and stuff. I mean, like this morning, I picked up a Chuck Will's Widow. Who ever heard of a bird called Chuck Will's Widow?
Not me, no.
Not me, but I've got a picture of it here, and now I've got it recorded. So, yeah, that sounds like something I'd be wanting to try around New Hampshire, too.
Absolutely. Yeah, I really do. My yard, because of the crows, you got to kind of be tough. Like, we don't get a lot of, like, the finches and stuff. They stay at my neighbor's house. They know, like, just the cool kids are allowed to hang here. You know, big dogs. The other ones get off the porch. So the little tiny guys hang next door, but I get all the, in my opinion, the cool ones. I love the red-winged blackbirds, too. Oh, I love those.
Oh, yeah, and the opposite. We get those scarlet tanagers, which are all red, except they have the black wing. It's the exact opposite of the red-winged blackbird. And I've seen them out there together, like two of them, like side by side, and it's like, hey, they coordinated their outfits today.
I bet that's so pretty.
Yeah.
All right, so
what kind of kid were you? Were you into reading and writing from an early age, or is this something that you got interested in later?
My mother and my brother, huge readers. Not me. I was too busy being social, and when I wasn't being social, I was too busy getting into trouble. My love for reading came. Well, I don't know. I did love the bookmobile. They used to come around to the schools. I loved that bookmobile. And I always knew I could express myself better writing than I could speaking. So whenever I got into trouble, I would go into my room and I would write exactly how I felt, why I did it, why I felt it was wrong, you know, the whole 9 yards. And I would slip it under my mother's door, and it allowed us to have, you know, deep, meaningful conversations that we would not have had otherwise. So I learned at a very young age there's power in words written on a page, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't until my 20s I had a, let's call him unruly boyfriend at the time. And he pissed me off, and I wanted to make a point, but I also knew he was stubborn, so I wrote a children's book with him as the protagonist. And he got home. I had left it for him. He read it, and he's like, am I Vinny the Squirrel? And I said, oh, yeah, you are. And, you know, it worked again. I got my point across better by writing. So I never wrote children's books for publication. I really wrote them more just for, well, either to prove a point or for friends, kids to enjoy. And I always wanted to be a thriller author, but I always kind of put authors on this huge pedestal, and you know, they had patches on their elbows and smoked pipes, you know what I mean? And I said, who the heck do I think I am? But once I moved to New Hampshire, I was so inspired.
Well, how's that pipe smoking working out?
I never picked up the pipe.
Oh, and you call yourself a writer.
Right. And I don't have any elbow pads, so what are you going to do?
Yeah, what are you going to do? All right, we are talking with author Sue Coletta. You going to say something, Stephen?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
All right, we're talking with author Sue Coletta. We're going to take a commercial break real quickly, and we will come back. And we got a caller, so we're going to take a call. So hold on tight.
Dave Hooker here, longtime Tennessee sports writer, and I know that true Tennessee fans are celebrating the 25th anniversary of the legendary 1998 Tennessee Volunteers championship season. Tell you what, in Celebrate 98, I try to bring the full-color photos and detail the transfer of power from Peyton Manning to Al Wilson, the preparation to win the first BCS National Championship, the locker room dynamics, and the challenges of a team rising above deep tragedy. Key plays include interception, a fumble maybe against Arkansas, and a bit of trickeration. Also, there's that Florida game. I analyze the leadership, the strategies, and the players' commitment to each other, and share what we are still learning from this team even today. Discover what happened to those heroes of the gridiron and where they are now. Proudly published by the Fresh Ink Group, Celebrate 98 is available in all the digital forms, but you can also get your own softcover or jacketed hardcover keepsake edition from booksellers worldwide. Want an autographed edition? Go to offthehooksports.com. That's offthehooksports.com, and I'll personalize it for you. Celebrate 98 is a collector's item and a cherished gift that belongs to all fans of college football and the Tennessee Volunteers.
All right.
Yeah, he makes saying offthehooksports.com sound easy, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. I tend to say off the hork sometimes, and it's just how it comes out. All right, so we do have a caller. We're going to go take this call. This is a call from the San Fernando Valley area. It's an 818 area code. Caller, you're on the air. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Well, this is Robert Williscroft, and I am calling from Denver. It just happens to be that I'm using a number that I used to have back in North Hollywood.
Hi, Robert. We talked quite a bit about you. You probably didn't hear it. We bragged about how all your books are selling.
Yeah.
So what I did, when I couldn't get online, I just called up on the phone, and I've been listening ever since.
Oh, good,
okay.
Good.
All right. Well, do you have a question for tonight's guest?
Yeah, I do have a question. You said that you're writing thrillers. Would you define a thriller for me?
Oh, define a thriller. Super fast pace, high concept, mine, it depends. If we're defining psychological thrillers, so that means the plot has a serious effect, emotional, visceral effect on the protagonist and in turn on the reader. Well, my books are very emotional. There's also violence and spirituality and a gripping plot line and plenty of twists and turns.
So your books are psychological thrillers.
I have psychological thrillers. So now I write eco-thrillers, and the only difference there is my main focus is on animal conservation. My characters, there's a corporation that is posing as a conservationist organization when in fact they're the nation's leading wildlife trafficking ring. They target certain animals, like in one book they targeted orca. In my last book they targeted American buffalo in Yellowstone, and my characters fight them. They're also hunting my characters because my characters keep screwing up their planned hunts. There is no line. My characters won't cross mayhem and Shawnee, even murder. I do kill a lot of poachers, and I snicker while doing it.
Yeah.
And animal traffickers, and so that's how I write eco thrillers. Now, I mean, I understand mine are a little different than the traditional eco thriller, but that's how I do it.
Well, that's fine. You gave a good definition, and I appreciate it. Yeah, I write submarine techno thrillers, so it's an entirely different genre. But I do have an orca who shows up on a regular basis, and he likes everybody, and everybody likes him.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Orcas are they're just genius. They're way smarter than humans. Yeah.
I'm not sure
really
they're
are.
smarter, but they're really, really smart.
Yeah.
Well, they actually have a lot more white matter than we do.
Huh.
And the white matter of the brain is where a lot of cognitive thinking is, and they have like 4 times as much as us. So they can make decisions in a fraction of a second, where it takes a lot longer for us to make decisions.
Yeah, they're missing opposable thumbs, which makes it very difficult for them to advance technologically.
Yeah.
Technologically, but do they need technology? I mean, they don't really need it.
They can't play the flute either.
Right.
Listen, I had a comment that I wanted to give you guys regarding Jerry Pate. I got an email from him several days ago. He had heard from a lady whose 94-year-old father had purchased Submariner and wanted to come and visit him and have him autograph the book. And, of course, Jerry said yes, and they showed up, and he spent a couple hours swapping sea stories and just having a great time, took some pictures, and I presume he's going to use those pictures in some of his promotion. But what a story, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, we mentioned that. Obviously, it was when you weren't able to hear us. We mentioned that, but you filled out the tail end of it. What I had, the news that I had, the visitors hadn't arrived yet. So fantastic.
Yeah, it's great to get out there and sell lots of copies of a book, but every now and then it's that one poignant sale to somebody who really gets it, or that it makes a difference in their lives, that really is rewarding for us.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm going to stay on the line so I can hear the show, but I'm done with my phone call.
All right. Thanks for chiming in, Robert G. Williscroft, everybody.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and Sue, if you check out his submarine techno thrillers, you might come across a Humboldt squid too. I'm just saying.
And a cat.
Don't
forget the cat.
Now I'm curious about the orca.
The cat's in the Ort Chronicle series.
Yeah. Who uploaded the cat? Meow.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right, Sue. We'll back to our line of questioning. Education. Where did you go to school? Did you go to college? If you did, what did you major in?
No, I did not go to college. I actually lost my parents early in life, so I'm self-taught everything. And I'll tell you a quick story, because this really encompasses even me today. I'm a big believer in dreams and working hard to achieve your goals. And so when I lost my parents as a teenager, it's sink or swim. The night of my mother's wake, the landlord, my mother had sold our family home because she knew she was sick, and we had been in this 2-family house for 2 months. He came to my house and told me, you're evicted. I didn't rent the apartment to you. I rented it to your mother, and since she's dead, you have to go, and since it was her deposit, I owe you nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a cold bastard.
Yeah, but he messed with the wrong girl. I'm not one to just take it. So I immediately hired a lawyer, and not only did I get up to a year's worth free rent, but he had to pay me triple what the deposit was. Of course, he made my life miserable, so I ended up leaving long before the year. But I had graduated high school with a cosmetology license. But working in a hair salon, really doesn't give you much of an income. So I wanted that experience with the lawyer really got me interested in criminal law. So I wanted to become a lawyer. But, of course, Suffolk law wouldn't give a kid with no parents to back them financial aid back then. So I knew I had to start at the bottom. And I figured, okay, well, I'll become a legal secretary. The biggest problem was you had to pass a typing test, and I had never even put my fingers on a typewriter. Never mind, know how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to a friend's house. Her mother had a typewriter. I took a piece of cardboard, and I copied the keyboard on this piece of cardboard. I measured the distance in between each key. I mean, it was a perfect replica on this piece of cardboard. And every night after work, I would type on this piece of cardboard. And when I felt, I had it down, I applied for the legal secretary job, and, they arranged for the typing test. And not only did I get the job, I beat out all the other girls that were taking the typing test for the job as well. So, I think everybody should dream big and then be willing to do the work to get there. And you will get there. It's just going to take time.
Yeah.
And that's
cool.
Yeah.
What a nice story. Could also be a thriller. Will she get the job? Will she pass the test?
I did that so many times in my life. I did that when computers came out. I lied and said I knew computers, and then I would sneak in and do all the tutorials and teach myself. So when the lawyer came in, I would look like I knew what I was doing.
Yeah. Now, Sue Coletta, one of the things that I've noticed is no matter where you go, if you travel the world, you hear people talking about it. If you go out into the woods in the middle of nowhere, you'll just hear, hunters out there in their deer blinds talking about it. You go fishing, people in the next boat are talking about it. I'm talking about Story Empire. What is this Story Empire that everybody's talking about?
Gee, I don't know. I'm kidding. Story Empire is a wonderful group of authors who give back by teaching the craft every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And we work on a rotating schedule, so it does a day or two a month. And it is the most supportive group of authors I've ever met, truly. And I belong to 3 author blogs, and Story Empire really blows them away.
Fantastic.
So
they're fabulous.
What are some examples of topics you've posted about?
My last post was how to become a murderer. And
take notes.
It was a story written in second person, putting the reader in the scene of, first enjoying a nice hot cup of tea, just cracking that new book, all excited, and a mosquito starts aggravating the reader until he or she reaches the point of, it's either the mosquito dies or she does. I mean, the house was not big enough for both of you. So I went through all the emotions, and I went through the escalation from perfectly calm to ready to kill, and then I said, now transfer all of that to your villain, and you are now a murderer. And it worked.
Oh.
It was effective. I've also posted on the mindset because, as you both know, writing is also a mental game as well as anything else. And I had a little series about that.
Yeah. Today's article over there was really interesting. Jackie posted on there about the AI voiced audiobook over at on Amazon, and I had been considering that, and I still kind of am, for one of my stories, but it's a little too robotic, so I'm not sure if I want to do that. And the one I'm thinking of is it's a shorter one anyway. It's just a little over 7,000 words, so I may just come up with the money and pay someone to read that and turn it into an audiobook if I decided to go that route. But it's interesting. But for people who haven't visited Story Empire, there's all kinds of stuff over there. Writing tips.
Oh, yeah.
There's technology that's, out there about what's the latest in like the AI stuff. So get over there, storyempire.com, and check it out. So
and Stephen did an awesome series on outlining. Just incredible.
He's Mr. Outlining.
Really in depth.
He's the master of the outlines. He's the one that got me into outlining. So now we are talking with Sue Coletta, and we're going to take a quick little commercial break. And did you want to say something, Stephen?
Nope.
Okay, so we will be right back, and we are going to start talking about some of Sue's books when we get back. So stick around.
Sarah Jameson, a nurse at County Central Hospital, survives an accident that kills her 2 young children. While comatose, she travels into the heavenly realm where she visits with her precious little ones. She is given a choice: return to her husband, Jack, or remain with her children in their celestial home. Jack was not in the fated automobile. Though he heard the crash and ran to help, there was nothing he could do. He suffers the loss of his children, fears the potential demise of his wife, and wonders about his own sanity. His struggle with PTSD from his military years has returned, and at times he cannot distinguish between the present and the past. An accident tragically changed the lives of this young family, but out of sorrow emerges unexpected blessings. You'll be deeply moved by Gwen M. Plano's new novel, The Soul Whisperer's Decision, proudly published by Fresh Ink Group in jacketed hardcover, softcover, and all ebook formats. The Soul Whisperer's Decision by Gwen M. Plano.
Yeah, you can grab your copy now. All right, Sue Coletta, I love mayhem, and you wrote a whole series about mayhem. So let's get into this. What is the Mayhem series about? Well, first of all, you got 9 books in there so far. Give us a little insight into what the Mayhem series is all about.
Well, it started out as pure psychological thrillers, book 1, 2, 3, and halfway through book 4, I Am Mayhem, it started to shift into the eco-thriller genre when I introduced a Dene medicine man. And then book 5, it changed, the series turned into now purely eco-thrillers. And I explained the basic plot is, the Mayhem and Shawnee fight the nation's largest animal trafficking ring, and they go everywhere. New Hampshire, Alaska. Now they're in another country fighting for. Well, I can't really tell you without ruining my last book. But they're in another country right now, fighting for wildlife again. And their main mission is to stop the hunt. And meanwhile, the corporation has $1 million bounties on both their heads because they have killed so many of their men, and they've also stopped very lucrative hunts and cost them a lot of money.
So what's the future of this series? You're at 9 books right now?
I'm at 9, yep, and number 10 is already. I'm almost halfway.
Wow.
More than 10?
Oh, I'll write this series the rest of my life because the point, I write it because I am so against poaching and animal trafficking and so passionate about animal conservation that I donate from the proceeds. So whatever animal they're saving in that book, that's where the donations from the proceeds go.
Cool.
In one book, it was crows, and no, they're not endangered. But crows and ravens have a very hard time because a lot of rehabs don't want them. Even Fish and Game. I called once. I had an injured raven in my yard, and he had a broken wing. And I called, and the game officer said, well, you know, let nature take its course. We have plenty of them in the state. And I said, we have plenty of people in the state, too, but I'd still try to save a human life. Mm-hmm. And that is when he hung up on me. So I nursed this raven back to health myself. So another book, they save wolves. So I donate for wolf preservation and so on and so on. So I'm writing really to help animals in real life.
Well,
but I
cool.
wrap it up in a super fast-paced, emotional plot. Because you don't want to be, the last thing I ever want to do is preach. So I don't even put my opinions in there. I just tell them, the plot goes how it is, and they draw their own conclusions.
Yeah, you don't have to lord your opinions out there just to have a perspective and show people how to see the world and all that. Do you get good feedback from fans who appreciate the being so in touch with the wildlife?
Unbelievable. I can't tell you the amount of fans who have written to me or messaged me on social media to tell me they don't look at the world in the same way they did before. And that is like the biggest compliment. I also, everybody knows I'm a crow lover. You can't read my books without knowing I'm a crow lover because I do have crow characters. And they send me crows. I even had
like ornaments and stuff, or live birds.
Yeah,
statues. Crow.
Statues. I had one reader. I have Spirit Crow and Poe are in my book, and Spirit Crow is obviously all white, and Poe's a regular crow. And she had a portrait done of them.
Oh, nice.
Incredible.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I was just brought to tears when I saw it. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So I'm overwhelmed by the amount of love I receive from. It just proves that I did the right thing by veering into eco thrillers because it meant so much to me personally, and that transfers to the readers. So.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're being very successful at getting your perspective out there without having to pound people with opinions and preach at them and stuff. And they're responding. They're appreciating it, and they're appreciating it so much that they want to give you a gift to show that. So I'm switching to, as right now, I'm switching to Eco Thrillers, and anybody wants to send me gifts, just let me know. Now, people were talking to Sue Coletta. Sue, you've got another series out, the Grafton County series. So far, you've got 5 of 5 books on that, the latest one being Hayload. So tell us about that series.
So that series is complete. That the basic premise of the series was a crime writer married to a Boston detective gets attacked in her home by the serial killer he is chasing. They move to New Hampshire because she cannot rest. The serial killers remain uncaught. They transfer to New Hampshire. The husband takes a job as Grafton County Sheriff, and wouldn't you know, serial murders start happening around them. So each book is a different killer, and little breadcrumbs are left from book 1 to book 5. And of course, book 5 has the big reveal of things that you shouldn't have picked up in 1 through 4. You know what I mean? But we're there in hindsight. So that series is complete.
Cool.
All right. Now we're gonna. Hopefully she's willing to do this. We've got Dr. Helen Burrell on hold. Now she calls every week and she listens on hold. This is how she listens to the show every week. She's in here this week, and it's been a while since we've brought her in, and she usually has a particular question she likes to ask. So we're going to bring her in and see if she wants to participate tonight.
Surprise,
Great.
Helen. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Helen.
Inside an academic building and even unfurled.
Hello, Helen. Dr. Helen.
Over a bridge. Meanwhile, on the left coast, UCLA.
Well, that didn't work.
Yeah, all right. She's obviously listening to something else other than just us. How
She's probably
dare
stepped
you.
away to go to the restroom or something.
And it could be that.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, we do have Verwayne Greenhill in here. We can bring him in for a quick question if Verwayne wants to have a quick question. But I want to throw this out here, too. I see Jan Sykes on Twitter. She said she's been trying to tune in but getting nothing. I must be too late. No, Jan, you just can't hear us. So I texted or tweeted her back that she can call in, and I gave her the number. And she can just listen on hold, or if she's got a question, we can even bring her in. So maybe either Stephen, you or I could text her, because I don't know if she's still on Twitter, but you could text her with that info and maybe have her come in.
I've been responding to other people the same way, like Barbara Johnson, just telling them, here's the phone number, call in.
So in the meantime, I and Verwayne get a quick question from him, since he's been out here listening as well. Verwayne, how are you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. A little tired, but I'm hanging in.
All right. You have a question or a comment?
Well, I was reading your guest bio and the types of things. I'm really big into thriller, murders type stuff, and I worked there in the prison, what used to be Riverside. I'm sure you two gentlemen know where Riverside was, there in Ionia.
Ionia, yeah.
I worked with some real genuine psychopaths, and I wrote a passage once that ended up being 4,500 words long based on something this guy told me. And when I went back to and read it, scared me. So, but have you ever met any? I don't want to say real killers, but people who have been on the wrong side of the law?
Absolutely, more than my fair share. When I worked for the law firm, I ended up moving up to a paralegal, and I had to go to Walpole. And I don't know if you're familiar with Walpole. It's a high-security prison. And I had to interview prisoners on behalf of the lawyer. And, met a lot there. And I also met a lot of cocktail waitressing, believe it or not, because of some of the locations I worked in were a little, let's say, rough. And, I've met more than my fair share.
Unvarnished.
Yeah. Unvarnished.
And, the funny thing is, some of the people that portray like the scariest type are marshmallows inside, and that is excluding psychopaths because they have zero emotions. But I always tried to find the good if they were not psychologically damaged or just plain psychotic. I always tried to find the good in everybody, even if they were in jail for robbing 10 banks. You know what I'm saying? I think we're all redeemable, depending, not, of course, if you murder a family, or whatever, but most people are redeemable.
All right.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed listening tonight.
We'll continue listening.
And thank you Thank you, Verwayne, for all the Twitter support. I so appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, Verwayne.
Thanks, Verwayne.
Yeah.
All right. I see Jan Sykes is on hold and is listening now. So.
Yeah, I sent her the number and told her she could listen. I don't know if she's trying to talk or not.
Well, we can bring her in real quickly and find out if she's got a question or a comment.
Put her on the spot.
Let's put her on the spot. We're going to shine the spot. Hi, Jan.
Hi, Jan.
Hello.
Hello. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. I don't know why I couldn't get anything on the using the link, but I'm glad.
Could.
Nobody could. It's all Blog Talk Radio's fault tonight.
It wasn't.
Show is still being recorded, so that
right?
it'll be in the archives. So.
Well, and that's the beauty of this show is the replay. So I just finished reading Sue's latest book, and I was struck by one of the things that she did in this book that was different was with this male character, Mr. Mayhem. She showed him being a little bit vulnerable, and so I kind of wonder if she'd like to touch on that.
Oh, boy, Jan. Well, he has, from the minute he stepped on the page in book 2, he really has captured everybody's attention. So I try to peel back layers in each book. And in Savage, yes, the past came back, reared its ugly head, and he had to face it, and it was actually very traumatic for him, which was a lot of fun to write because he is always so self-assured and, general badass. So to show that other side of him was really, I think, important for the scene as well as the character as a whole.
Yeah, I agree. And as a reader, it was good to see that side of him because, as you say, that hasn't been shown, and so that was kind of cool. Good. Yeah. He's human. It showed that he was human.
It's a what?
Shows that he was human?
Oh, yes,
right.
Yes, right. Yeah, it definitely shows more of his softer side.
Right. Okay, well, y'all get back to your show. At least I can listen now.
All right. Yeah. We will
nice
put
to
you
hear
back
your
on
voice,
hold.
Jan.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jan.
You too, Sue. All right. Talk to you later.
All right. We'll put her back on hold so she can keep listening.
We're talking to author Sue Coletta. We're starting to wind down, running out of time here. Sue's got a couple of other books, too. 60 Ways to Murder Your Characters, Crime Writer's Reference Guide, and she's got one called Crime Writers Research, your one-stop answer center to crime writing, murder, police procedures, serial killers, and more. So that one sounds like a feel-good kind of a book. And then we've got Pretty Evil New England. Sue, what's that about?
That is about female serial killers of New England.
Oh, of course.
And that is true crime narrative nonfiction.
Ooh.
And I focused on 5 particular serial killers, and it was absolutely fascinating. It took me a year of research, but I had a lot of fun, especially with Jane Toppin. I don't know if you're familiar with her.
No.
She murdered for at least 20 years that we know of, without ever being suspected. She was a nurse, and she was so smart. She knew how to mix drugs to mimic, like, whatever their diagnosis was, only greatly enhance it so that it killed them. And she would often toy with them first, like bringing them to the brink of death and then pulling back. And she would climb on top of them, flip the eyelids inside out, and just stare into their eyes while she is torturing them with these cocktails of medicine. She was cunning.
Yeah, it just sounds like
fun to write.
Yeah, that's something that's kind of up my alley. I like the true crime stuff, especially the ones that are the odd ones that you don't hear about all the time, that these women are serial killers or whatever. I'm going to have to pick this one up as soon as I get out of here. I'm going to go and order that.
Yeah,
she even murdered her stepsister.
Wow.
And
that's
then
an evil woman.
Held her in her arms as she was convulsing, and how I did her story was I would have I'd be telling the story, and then I would insert sections of her confession in between, and it really brought the evil out more.
Now, did they give her the death sentence?
No.
No.
She was actually found criminally insane and sent to Taunton State State Hospital in Taunton, Mass. And and even while there, she really wasn't behaving. But karma always does come back to bite you, doesn't it? And she ended up going like crazy, and she was hearing the voices of her victims, and it drove her insane to the point they had to restrain her because she would just scream and scream and scream and apologize, and she did not die until 85 years old. So she,
wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's a rough way to go.
Yeah, karma got her good.
Karma. Wow. All right.
We dive into psychological suspense. I think after writing something like that for a few hours, I'd have to go outside and sit with my birds.
Or write a comedy.
Yeah, and that's what I did. I had to keep my own sanity because I wrote these stories from their perspective. So, you have to kind of become them in order to write them.
Yeah.
And that, it was heavy.
Yes, actor Stanley Tucci, he was in The Lovely Bones, and he played a really horrible character. This guy raped and murdered a young girl, and he didn't want to do the movie at first, but it was his wife that talked him into it. And I remember the interview after that, he said he immediately had to jump into a comedy. So he took The Devil Wears Prada, and he said, and the reason why he did that was because he basically had to cleanse himself of that horrible, horrible character. And he said he wanted to laugh after that. He needed something to laugh.
And I think that's so true. Even while writing a novel, I mean, we're slipping inside characters' skin and then viewing the world from their eyes. And you do need a way to kind of shake that off because it can get heavy and it can get, real if you don't.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we are talking.
Stanley Tucci was amazing in that movie, by the way.
He was, and he was. And the turnaround from that movie to The Devil Wears Prada, this guy's just a great actor. He goes from this killer to this funny guy.
Yeah.
So we are talking to Sue Coletta, award-winning author, and Sue. Speaking of being an award-winning author, what advice do you have for other authors?
I guess my biggest advice would be you could have the best plot with the biggest high concept possible, but if your characters are not fully fleshed out, your story still won't work. So, there's three dimensions of character. And you need to at least know that. And the first dimension is how that character portrays himself to the world. Everybody wants to put on their best, persona of who they are. And then the second dimension of character is who they are at home and with their friends and close and family. And then the third dimension of character is if they're in a movie theater that catches on fire, will they help others get to the exit, or will they elbow their way past them or trample them to get out? And you at least need to know those three things before you craft any character, is my advice.
Good advice from a accomplished writer who also shares her time, talents, and skills with people through StoryEmpire.com as well. So that's Sue Coletta we've had on the show tonight, people. Sue, how do people find you, follow you, contact you? You on social media? What are your handles? You got a blog? You got a website? Facebook, Instagram? Where are you?
I do. My website is SueColetta.com, and that's 1 L, 2 T's. You can sign up for my newsletter there, or all of my social media, all of the links to my book are housed under Linktree, and that is linktr.ee/Sue Coletta, and you'll find everything right there.
Ah, cool. All right. It's been great having you on, Sue, and our apologies to the audience on the live aspect of tonight's show. Blog Talk Radio is not on our list of favorite companies right now, but hopefully we'll be back live again next week. For those of you listening in the archives right now, and we'll be talking to author Mike Diodato. And then after that, Beem?
After that, we've got B.A. Johnson. She should have her new book out, I've Got Your Back, Mr. President.
No. That's Pandemonium in Puzzle Town.
Pandemonium in Puzzle Town is B.A. Johnson. After that is
then we've got Abigail H. Eugenie and L. Smalls and their book, Mr. President, I've Got Your Back, the First Ladies of South Carolina State University. Abigail Eugenie is the author of There Must Be Something in the Water. She's been on the show before. We're looking forward to having her back, and we'll be meeting Mary L. Smalls for the first time. After that, we've got someone that neither one of us know anything about other than that she's a writer. Her name is Colleen M. Story, and we're looking forward to learning about her as you are. And after that, we've got Cheryl Carpinello. We'll learn about her Young Knights series that she targets to middle schoolers and her new Fresh Ink Group produced audio book. So Cheryl Carpinello.
And we've got other people in line. When I started the show off at the top of the hour, I had mentioned a Kickstarter program that these publishers for their new graphic novel has put out. We're going to have those guys on, and there's a couple of others that are I'm working on getting scheduled. So keep your eyes and ears on that newsletter. If you're not subscribed, get over there and subscribe.
Yeah. Thanks again, Sue Coletta. It's been a hoot.
It's been a hoot.
Thanks for having me.
All right. And we will see everybody again next week. Hopefully it'll be live. And if it's not, we're going to be switching over to Podbean or something like that because this is getting kind of ridiculous. So
yes, it is. Take care.
Take care, everybody.
You too. Bye-bye.
You're listening to The Voice of Indie.
You've been a part of Voice of Indie, a production of Fresh Ink Group. Spread the word, support our guests, then find us at FreshInkGroup.com and be sure to hashtag Fresh Ink Group.